this really isn't even about transgender issues. This ad is really about misplaced priorities.
Dana Bash, who I suspect will not have a job much longer, and it's well-deserved, she had a Trump campaign official on, and they were also getting into it about this trans nonsense. Like, they can't stop. They just can't stop themselves. Take a look.
So speaking of policy, your campaign flooded the airwaves in the battleground states and on national cable, even on networks and streaming during NFL games, with ads specifically focused on a trans issue. I want you to listen to some of it, and we'll talk on the other side.
Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
The transgender community in the U.S. is very, very small. It got really outsized attention. There are a lot of people who say that your campaign demonized the trans community as a way to present a wedge issue for perhaps men of color, suburban parents. Why do you think, and I know you believe that those ads worked, why do you think they worked?
Well, first of all, we didn't demonize the transgender community. In fact, this really isn't even about transgender issues. This ad is really about misplaced priorities. At the end of the day, it is a small minority of the country that thinks taxpayer dollars should be spent on that sort of thing. And when you have a majority of the country who is saying very clearly that they don't believe the government is working for them, they're worse off than they were 4 years ago, the country is in the wrong track, and then to see a presidential candidate who is saying she's going to move this agenda forward and that's how taxpayer dollars should be spent, it just doesn't comport with them. They don't think the government is working for them. People want the government to be doing what their priorities are. And frankly, spending taxpayer dollars to give transgender surgery to prisoners is just not a priority of the American people. And that's why the ad was effective. It's about misplaced priorities on behalf of a leader.
So it was using the top issues that are most important to voters, the economy and immigration, and presenting it through an ad that was very memorable. Were you surprised that the Harris campaign didn't respond in kind?
Not particularly, because at the end of the day, it was her words right there very clearly. She was on camera owning that position. And you know, the ad did something else too, which is really important. It positioned her as the ideologically far-left liberal that she is and always was. We saw when she first came into the race, there was this whole rush to try to erase the history of Kamala Harris, who was rated literally the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate in 2019. And by the way, that was taken off the internet. We know that many outlets came out and said she was never the border czar. And then ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if she voted for Donald Trump, because she had anonymous aides go out and leak that she was actually supporting his positions now, whether on the economy or the border or otherwise. So she really couldn't run from her words on that one when she was on many other issues.
Yeah, good job, James Blair. There's a good spokesman for a campaign and for an administration, if that's a job he's looking for. Dana, again, you don't even believe any of this bullshit. I think you have a son, if I'm not mistaken. If one day you found out that at school your son was being taught that he was a girl and wanted to be called Lisa instead of Lee, you would be pissed. So it's all fake, emotive, nonsensical bullshit. And again, we're largely getting over it, which is why I think now it's worth, as they push it right at the end, I think it's really worth pushing back right now. No more of this nonsense.